you know how, especially like in Asian households or a lot of conservative households, we'll go back to the mom and dad example again, where they don't really talk about sex, right? Like they don't say, hey son, when you get to be about that age, you're gonna be getting pretty horny, and mom's mine, so you gotta go find your own. Like they don't talk to you about stuff like that, right? You kind of just go off and you have to go figure that out. But then with comedy, what I love about it is that you can take a subject that everyone is trying to brush underneath the rug, and you can bring it out and be like, hey, let's talk about this, and everyone gets to laugh and communicate through it and have a good discussion about it without people getting too sensitive. And with stereotypes, what we like to do is, a lot of people, like, everyone knows, like, there's all these stereotypes out there, and it's cool to just bring it to light. Oh, like, okay, like, Asians, they can't drive or whatever. That's just like my mom can't drive. I can drive. So like, when you can bring that out, everyone can talk about it and laugh about it and not be like, so, oh my God, why did they just say that? Like, you just, like, diss my whole culture. It's not about that. It's about being able to look at all the flaws that all humans have, regardless of race or whatever, and just being able to, like, laugh at each other and be humble about it.
Well said. Cool. All right. So, Jimmy, with the growing power of the media, we see the development of many, many web series, and Video Game High School is certainly one of the most successful out there. So can you talk about the benefits of web series as an alternative to television?
Oh, television.
What's TV?
My computer. This is actually mentioned in the panel I just was running from, but you're not competing against a time slot if you're releasing a web series. You know, at 8 o'clock, NCIS comes on at the same time as Survivor Antarctica at this point. But when you release a web series, you know, it's on your own schedule. You have creative control over it for the most part. And you're ultimately creating something for your fans. If you have a fan base, you're doing something specifically for them, and it has a much more personal feel to it, I think. It's got a much more organic feel to it too, because sometimes I'll see TV shows pop up, and as much as I love America's Got Talent, you know, there are only so many people that don't look like opera singers. There are opera singers I can stand every year.
Sorry.
It's cool.
That was opera.
That was a result of the collaboration baby. It was just crying out. But yeah, there are a lot of benefits to web series. You know, there are downsides and upsides to everything, and I think for something like a web series, it's interesting because VGHS, its episodes are averaging about 13 to 15 minutes per episode, and one of the most consistent comments that we get is, why don't you make it longer, like TV? Like, why don't you make a 22-minute episode? And I think the lesson to be learned there is, it's not that people want it to be on TV. They don't want a TV show, but if the content's good, then they want more of it. You know, that's never been a falsity of anything, really. If something's good, you want more of it. And when it comes to web series, you have the power to really give people what they want. You know, there have been so many instances where we've released a video the week before in Rocket Jump, and we get comments like saying, hey, I didn't understand what was going on here. And we had the power to go back in and say, you know what, you're right. We could fix something in that, and we eat our humble pie, and we edit a little bit around it to show, to give a little more exposition. Something didn't play the right way, or someone misunderstood the intentions, and we review it among ourselves. Be like, did this work? Did this not work? And it's ultimately because you have the power to edit your own content, and you have the power to create your own content. It's something entirely different from TV because it's much more just personal. It's something tailored to an audience. I think that's one of the more important things about web series.
Fantastic. You actually answered the first general question about taking audience suggestions.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Don't take audience suggestions to go like die in a car fire, though. Those are bad.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah, and also haters it's the vocal minority for a reason. We're not talking like minority. We're talking because they are the people that hate the thing the most are going to be the first people to say something. It's always the truth.
Thank you. So, YouTube guy. The $1 million question. I think.
A lot of being branded now.
Mr. Bing Chen.
We're all in one fashion a YouTube guy.
I think everyone wants to know, if you had to put it into a recipe, what are all the ingredients into having a successful YouTube video? or a YouTube presence for that matter?
Well, first of all, you should certainly look at our partners, e.g. these fine gentlemen, and ask them. But I think the better question is exactly what you said, Julie, which is presence rather than videos. Because if you want a consistent sort of ongoing, audience-based revenue stream and so forth, obviously you need to focus on the channel instead of an actual video. So you all know sort of the bare bones of like what to do, but I think there are three things that the most successful people do, and they all fall under sort of like the banner of like thinking about your presence as a business and less about somewhere where you just go hang out, right? And I think the differentiating factors that we see in the most successful channels, and those are codified by higher revenue streams, by larger audiences that are consistently coming and so forth, and following. The first is that these people have well-defined goals and have well-defined themselves, right? So you see a lot of people on YouTube who like quasi-brand themselves as like, I'm kind of a cooking show chef, but not really. And they don't really know like how many views they want to get in like the next few months. The people who are really sexy, I was gonna say the people who are really sexy. My mind is at 10 p.m. right now until like 3. So,
what is happening at 10 p.m.?
I'll keep that to myself.
I think about sucking at 10 p.m. too.
I've now lost me about 10 p.m. No, I mean the people who are really successful know that in the next month my goal is going to be this, right? I need to have this. They know what the one-liner that explains their channel is. They know that there's consistent branding and reinforcement of that sort of differentiation across all the platforms where they exist. They know that when they tweet something, it's not just a matter of tweeting something, right? It's a matter of being consistent. This is good. Being consistent with your voice, right? And making sure that that also translates to the kind of content you're making. So again, making sure you really know who you are and that you really define it and you know where you're going. So that's number one. I can't tell you that most people on YouTube do not have that on the top of their head. They really don't. They just do something, they put it out there, they think it's good, gets a lot of views, and they'll succeed. But the reality is that's not who's really successful. The second thing that is the most important is consistency. And I know this sounds obvious, but it's so easy and no one does it. So consistently uploading on a scheduled rate, consistently employing the same voice and tone across all of your brand, right? Consistently showing up to certain events, letting your audience know consistently they can find you in a certain place, so forth and so on. So that's the third. And our second, and not forgetting the third.
It's 10 p.m.
It's
Always.
10 p.m.
It's 10 p.m. somewhere. That's what
I will get this third one. By the way, are you an internet icon?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome, internet icon.
All right. Oh yeah, this is important. So I just scolded a bunch of we had 150 partners in our last program. We just scolded them because we told them most of them are stupid. And the reason they're stupid is because they're not being smart with their resources. It was done affectionately. It's like your mother or your father telling you. It's the tiger mom and all of us, right?
My mom says.
Yeah, no. Everyone in this world is in some way stupid. Myself included, of course. So, no, but the reason we say that is because so many of you are so ambitious. And really all of you are. And that's a good thing. Right? The problem is, as superheroes you think you are, you only have 24 hours a day and you will die one day, right? So you can't do everything. No, this is true. You can't do everything. And what we see so many people do is because they're so hungry, they try to do everything, right? They try to tweet everything out. They try to Facebook everything out. And if they're smart, they try to Google Plus everything out, right? And they just try to do all this other stuff. Take every job, go to every callback. They try to do all these things. And the reality is that's not a good use of your resources. Casting a wide net is often not the right thing to do. And so instead of spreading yourself thin, focus in on a few things where your time is going to be exerted. So instead of doing 10 things okay, you do 2 things really fucking well. Forgive me for cursing. Ken is one of the great examples of this, right? What are you really good at, Ken? Besides wearing glasses, really.
Dance.
He's really good at speaking with his body through music, right? He's really, really good. So he's really good at that, right? Really good. He's in fact one of the best at it, right? If you spent I'm sorry, I'm not trying to kiss your butt. But if you spent maybe a third of your time trying to be a writer, right? Or maybe you'll be a writer. And a third of your time singing, and then a third of your time dancing. First of all, no one will know what you really are. Right? They just won't. They'll know you as an artist, but they won't know what to go, where to go for what. You won't have enough time to do all those things well. You won't have a Grammy, or the equivalent of the dance award is. What is the equivalent? Forgive me for not knowing.
ABDC champion.
You won't be an ABDC champion. Which is what else already out. So that one's in the bag. But getting a Grammy plus Pulitzer, it's hard, right? And getting an Oscar, it's hard to do back to back. So the message is be smart with your resources. You are a smart person and your time is valuable. So focus in on a few things, right? Really ask yourself, is it smart for me to go to all these events all the time? So That's the third thing that we mentioned, because we know for a fact that most people don't think about that. I don't really think anybody's.
What are you good at?
Everything. I think being good at things is a state of mind.
Being is actually going to be the next Oprah and Walt Disney love child.
But I'm not changing genders nor racial color. Or religion. I didn't think that. Someone asked me if I was Puerto Rican yesterday.
Yeah, that's your pass. Absolutely.
If I just talked to you on the phone, I might think you would some like gigantic black man.
He does have a very sexual voice.
Incredible.
When we were emailing Bing to schedule an interview, I imagined him to be an old Asian guy.
You're old at heart. You're old at heart.
Anyway, that's conversation after the panel. So really quick, Ken, let's finish this off with you. You and Periodics are one of the Asian faces in mainstream media. Actually, I haven't asked the question yet. Hold on. So, since the show, you guys started a Periodics YouTube channel. So, how has that channel that you guys created helped continue that momentum and influence from ABDC? And in what ways?
It helped a lot because, I mean, we're not on TV anymore, and like people out there that still want to see us, you know, bam, YouTube.
YouTube is TV.
Yes. Actually, it's really funny because we were just on this past episode for the finale, and a lot of my friends were like, dude, I don't even have TV. I'm like, dude, watch it on YouTube, you know? It's so it's a really good resource for things that, where your schedule can't really match with the TV schedule, so you would, you know, go on YouTube because it's a lot more flexible. You can watch it anytime, replay it, you know what I mean? Anywhere, even on your phones. Where else?
Your TV.
On your TV.
Apple.
See that? Yeah, but yeah, so that channel definitely helped us out with our visibility, and yeah, that's pretty much.
Thank you. Well, with that, I would like to open this up to anyone in the audience that has any questions for these lovely panelists, as well as Gio and Casey of JK Films in the audience, who will participate in this. As well as Kane, Farah, or Romel. Yes?
Question for Just Kidding. Do you guys, like, a lot of your content is about, I know, like, I think I've read in interviews or something, you guys are just portraying what you guys know is your life, but it happens to be oftentimes, like, Asian American life stuff. Do you guys actually, like, actively cater to, like, an Asian demographic, or do you try to, like, stay out of that box, you know what I mean?
I think what we do is not so much thought out in that way. It's kind of like, you know when you grow up in the 90s, there was so much black content, right? Like it was like In Living Color, Wayans Brothers, Jamie Foxx show. They weren't trying to be black, they were just trying to give you a perspective of what their lifestyle is. And right now for us, that's the same exact thing that we're doing. We're not trying to be like, oh, let's add another bowl of rice in this scene. That's not what we're trying to we just do our shit, and then people, like, they connect with it, and then they're like, oh, cool, and then it just kind of gives people a glimpse of what it's like to be, I guess, in an Asian American. Because Asian American, that lifestyle is a balance of being American and also some of the traditional Asian values that have transcended from your parents. So it's kind of like, we don't think about it, we just do it because that's us. And I think it's been working great because on Facebook, there'll be like a black dude wearing like an Uncle Sam hat. And then he's like, yo, check this shit out, son. And then y'all like, do the racing. Like, he'll type it like as if he's a fob. And it's really, really cool to like see all these other races kind of like, just like how a lot of black content opened my eyes to how their world is. Like we get to share our world now with a whole bunch of another demographic.
Thank you for that wonderful question.
Yes, thank you.
She's so polite.
Lost value. She's your foil.
It's a lost one. I can't explain.
Yes, hello, sir.
Hello, I am from UC Berkeley, and we want to bring we're bringing uploaded to one mic, one voice. We're bringing uploaded upload it to UC Berkeley.
Oh, fantastic.
And I was wondering how can we do that? I definitely want to talk to.
It'll cost about $5,000. Email me at justkiddingfilms@gmail.com.
Wow, I did not plant this question, nor did I plant this.
Oh, I'm sorry, because you were over talking and I just wanted to make
kidding,
sure.
but
I wanted to make sure.
No,
Love.
the reason the plan
We
is
love
because
here. No, lots of love, and thank you for the support. Yes, we are actually doing a college tour in the fall, and we've been in talks with a lot of colleges, and we definitely want to bring it up to UC Berkeley. There's been a lot of demand in the Bay Area, and we have some special guests that actually want to attend the panel as well. So, Farah, lovely producer there, or myself, you can definitely start engaging in discourse. So thank you for that.
The easiest way to do it, just email us at uploaded TAAMS movement, so the Asian American movement @gmail.com, and then just.
Are you available after?
Yes, we are to talk.
Yes.
So, but I'm just saying.
Buy her dinner.
And don't forget the $5,000 in cash.
To JP. But thank you for that. We'll talk after the panel with details. Thank you. Anyone else with questions? Hello.
I actually have enough.
I like this guy. He's asking questions and he's curious.
This one's for Jimmy. So, I noticed like you're super talented. Like you're an actor. You're funny. You play like songs. You write your own songs. You like play them, the instruments. So you do it all. And so it kind of runs counter to like Bing's advice of like pick that one thing. So like how do you like navigate?
There are exceptions everywhere.
How do you navigate? This is what I'm gonna do. You know, like I know your like first video was like a special effects like a ninja flipping.
Yeah,
and then you like
yeah.
evolved to all this stuff. Like so how do you kind of like prioritize and pick?
That's a really good question. So when I originally came to Los Angeles, I came because I wanted to act. And for the first year that I was here, this was right when Freddie, my brother, was really blowing up. It was like I came to LA right after I did the Portland video. You know, he started growing really fast. And to me, when I looked at YouTube, I was like, YouTube's great, but I don't really want. It's not me. I don't want to do that. And so I would help Freddie out behind the scenes and stuff, and continue doing my acting stuff. And sort of about a year later, I decided that I was like, you know what, acting's kind of slowing down. Why not try this YouTube thing? But I don't want to go out and put skits online. So I'm not a great writer. You know, I'm better when someone else writes content for me, and I can act in that. And so I decided to do music, which was my other main passion project. Not project, just my main passion growing up. You know, I played piano for a lot of my life because my parents made me. And who plays classical instrument here? Boom! Sorry. But music was always a big passion part for my life, and so when I did that on YouTube, I did know, I was very conscious of the fact that I was splitting my interests, that I was going, I saw it as simultaneous railroad tracks though. They're both going towards the same goal, but I'm just taking them on two different tracks. And at first I did try doing a couple of acting videos on YouTube. I had sketch and stuff on there, and it wasn't exactly what I was passionate about. And then when I started doing music, it fit a lot more in, and I was like, you know what, this is something I want to do. And I always envisioned my career as, you know, it's about breaking out, you know, for actors. It's about pushing through, getting someone to really notice you and to give you a chance. And for me, music and acting were simultaneously going parallel down this path. And so there were at points where I was like, you know, I might be diluting myself. I might be spending too much time doing one thing instead of focusing on the other. But acting, fortunately, is a career where, you know, you may go to 3 or 4 auditions a week, but if you take the total amount of time it takes to do that, that's, you know, maybe 4 or 5 hours. And, you know, the rest of the week you're not really acting. You know, I could have been doing skits, I could have been, I know I took improv classes and stuff for a while, but I had enough free time that I felt like I could devote myself to doing both. And ultimately, they're both a form of performance, and I think that's what helped me out ultimately. You know, if it was acting and, you know, having like a gun channel, you know, those would be so synonymous with each other. Even Feast of Fiction is very much, you know, it's host-based. We do a lot of skits on there now, and I found another, you know, I've made that a creative outlet to be something related to acting and hosting, and sort of pushing, I'm just pushing forward on the same two things, but I'm trying to make sure I'm not diluting myself and you know, spreading myself too thin, essentially. It's a good question, though.
To add on top of that, like, I think the most important thing is that he's been playing piano for like his almost entire life, right? So I think what Bing is trying to say is don't try to get 5 yellow belts at the same time.
Yeah.
Like if you have one black belt, go ahead, move on to the next one, get a black belt, move on to the next one. So for him, since he already had one, he can get another one, and he can practice whooping ass different ways, and then still do it okay, but instead of getting 5 yellow belts and getting your ass kicked everywhere. Yeah.
You're really good with analogies.
Really good.
Thank you. With that actually concludes our panel. So thank you all so much for coming.